And I would like to touch on the Book of Giants, which is, as some of people know, the Old Testament Apocrypha, which matches in its writing some of the stuff from Genesis or even the Book of Enoch. And I'm not sure 100%. You would know better than me. I don't think we have the Book of Giants in its totality. We don't have whole, but we have some of the fragments or majority of the fragments. So I just wanted to you to just say something about this book when it comes to its summary, significance, how well was it accepted, how it helps us to see the giants, Genesis 6, First Enoch, what is the challenge of this book, anything that can help us better understand this very interesting topic of the Nephilim.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, the Book of Giants is interesting. You've got a lot of people using it as primary source material, which is problematic because it's clearly derivative of First Enoch and other material that betrays Israel's post-exilic Mesopotamian influences. Something I'll be talking about in when season 6 of the Answers to Giant Questions podcast launches in a couple of weeks is the direct influence of classic Mesopotamian literature on the authors of the primeval history. And that influence carries on in the Enochic tradition, which forms the basis of the Book of Giants. We didn't really know a lot about that until relatively recently. For a long time, it was believed that ancient Persians, the Manichaeans, had originally composed the Book of Giants independently of Semitic sources. But the discoveries at Qumran changed that and brought the earliest date for the core material back about 300 years. Nowadays, it's commonly accepted that the Manichaean tradition was late and derived from a Hebrew original in the Enochic tradition. In any case, what we see in the Book of Giants is basically a midrash on a midrash. So the biblical story of Genesis 6 gets expanded and elaborated on by the Enochic scribes who reinterpret it by reading it in light of Torah. And then the Enochic story of Genesis 6 gets expanded and elaborated on by the Book of Giants scribes who reinterpret it by reading it and in light of Torah. And then they chuck in Gilgamesh and his friends to add some Mesopotamian credibility. What that does for us is tell us a little bit about the authority afforded to the Babylonian material, which is naturally overshadowed by the Torah as the superior text. But it's clear that the Book of Giants is so derivative it can't be taken seriously as a primary source. So yeah, it's interesting there when you get into looking at the giants, and most people's first stop for information on the giants is start hunting down popular researchers, usually um, YouTube videos and popular books and whatnot that will make a lot of noise about the Book of Giants because they're deriving a lot of information from there, um, without necessarily realizing that the Book of Giants is itself drawing from a lot of other earlier sources, which are probably a bit more credible. So I would suggest that while it's interesting to read the Book of Giants and to see how people were thinking about these things, it's also worthwhile keeping in mind that the Book of Giants didn't have widespread acceptance in the Jewish or Christian communities by any stretch. You just find it in little sectarian groups here and there. I mean, the Manichaeans were uh, way off in their view of the Bible and understanding of uh, the truth as we know it. Um, but it's interesting. You can just get some of those insights as to how people thought about these things, what they were doing with uh, the biblical text, what they were doing with the Enochic traditions in light of the biblical text. So kind of reading it backwards 2 steps. But yeah, some interesting stuff comes out of it.